Now, if you have a team of 10 salespeople, you might have one or two people that are gunning for that free iPod or for that gift certificate to the local restaurant because they're more motivated by prizes than other people. Like, for example, when I was a salesperson, I really didn't give a hoot about prizes and rewards. I just wasn't motivated by that. But there were plenty of people that were. That was the thing. I would rather make money in the commission plan and drive sales and feel like I'm creating a business instead of going after some gift certificate, because I felt if I produced enough to create commissions and bonuses, I could go to any restaurant that I wanted. I could go out and buy my own iPod. I didn't have to win a contest in order to get those sorts of things. So you got to be careful who you use this strategy on, because some people will be really deterred by it and really won't even engage in it. And that level of engagement is very important for the success of a program. So it should be used as a part of an overall motivational strategy. Now, like we said before, this might over-reliance upon a prizes or rewards or award motivational strategy, it may stunt intrinsic motivations, like we said before. And there's a great book that I read that specifically talks about this and gives an example of what we're talking about here. What am I talking about? It might stunt intrinsic motivations. That seems like a little bit of an esoteric concept here, but let me just read you this. This is from a book by Richard Lavoie on motivation for kids. And like we had said before, the motivations of your salespeople are very similar to the motivations that they had when they were children. It really doesn't change all that much over time. So he cites a classic Stanford University study that was authored by Alfie Kohn. And the researchers observed students in a preschool classroom. And whenever the children had completed the assigned work or had free time, they were allowed to go to one of these three tables to use the materials there. And one table contained toy cars and trucks, and the second one had stuffed animals, and the third table had a variety of art supplies. So the researchers identified 9 children who frequented the art table at every opportunity, and they took these kids to be obviously motivated or very interested in art. So they enjoyed drawing, sketching, coloring, that kind of thing. So anyway, so they took the 9 kids and they divided them into 3 groups as sort of a motivational study. And the first group was brought into the office and was asked to draw a picture. And when they were finished, the examiner thanked them and commented very positively upon all the drawings. So the second group of 3 was then brought into the office, and each of them was asked to draw a picture. And when they were finished, the examiner made obviously very positive comments about their drawings and gave each of them an attractive personalized certificate. So the first one just got sort of the extrinsic reward of a good job and just sort of a verbal congratulations. The second one actually got that in addition to a certificate. So the third group entered the office. This is the third group of 3 kids out of the group of 9. They entered the office and the children were shown the certificate and were told that they would receive a certificate if they drew a quote-unquote nice picture. So the children each completed the drawing and each was then awarded the certificate because they drew the nice picture. So the researchers then observed the children to determine which group of students returned to the art table during their free time. Now remember, before this experiment, they had all come to the art table of their free will, and there was no one group that visited more than the other. All 9 kids had. So anyway, so after they did this division of 3 groups, they observed which kids came back. So the interesting thing was that the first group of students who received the verbal reinforcement but no tangible reward, remember they just got the attaboy, the good job kind of thing, always returned to the drawing table when they had free time. The second group, though, who were given the certificate after they completed their drawings, they also returned to the table whenever they had free time, which is interesting. But every time the experiment was replicated, and this was done a number of times, a dozen or so times, several children in the third group simply stopped going to the art table unto itself. So the question that we pose for you here is, what accounts for this kind of reaction? And in this case, the researchers took an activity that the children had intrinsic motivations or intrinsic pleasure, got intrinsic pleasure out of it, turned it into an extrinsic pleasure or an extrinsic reward, and it stunted the intrinsic activity. So this is the biggest mistake that sales managers make, is that they become overly reliant upon prizes, awards, and rewards. And what ends up happening is that when you do too many of these types of scenarios, or too many types of contests or award scenarios, you end up stunting the intrinsic motivation of doing a good job or creating mastery in one's chosen field. And in this particular case, it is the job of a salesperson. So this is the problem with rewards, and this is the biggest mistake that sales managers make when it comes to motivating salespeople, is that they take this spontaneous and genuine enjoyment and converted it into, in essence, into work. Rather than turning work into play, they had turned play into work, exactly like our example here with the art table. So if you're relying too much on rewards and awards and prizes to motivate your salespeople, you really have to watch out for this, because you may end up having the complete opposite effect when you have that iPod contest. And let's say, you have an iPod contest where, like we said before, whoever gets the most appointments for the following week wins an iPod. What happens the week that you don't have the contest? The idea is that you want to motivate people or reinforce behaviors that you constantly will lead you and them to sales success. And sometimes rewards and awards get in the way of that kind of sales success. And they end up having the exact reverse effect of the sales manager, and oftentimes the well-intentioned sales manager. So just to summarize, because prizes, rewards, and awards motivational strategies are so easy to implement, they've oftentimes been overused. They are easy to implement, but it should be a small part or one particular part of your overall motivational strategy. Now, when you take the motivational questionnaire through the Sales Management Mastery Academy for all of your salespeople, if you've got somebody who comes out very high on the prizes end of their motivations, or they're primarily motivated by prizes, awards, and rewards, then these are the types of things that you should do for them, maybe individually instead of for the group. And that can be a very effective part of your overall motivational strategy. So it shouldn't be discounted, but you've got to really make sure that you don't fall into the trap of the number one sales management mistake, which is over-reliance upon rewards, awards, and prizes. Now, for hundreds of other sales management techniques and strategies such as this one, you can find them in the Sales Management Mastery Academy, along with tons of done-for-you resources to help you and your sales managers achieve sales management success. To claim your free sales manager training inside the Sales Management Mastery Academy, including our most popular training of all time, How to Motivate Your Sales Team to Peak Performance, visit salestraininggift.com. Now that's it for this week's episode of Sales Management Mastery. Until next time, wishing you ultimate sales management success.
You've been listening to the sales management, motivational, and leadership training expert, Ralph Burns. Ralph invites you to discover the sales manager training secrets that will unleash a flood of new sales from your sales team. Visit salestraininggift.com and you'll get instant access to your choice of life-changing sales manager training techniques, only taught in the internationally acclaimed Sales Management Mastery Academy online community. Go now to salestraininggift.com. Sales Management Mastery.